so again, this is the beginner Octagon beginner tournament. I'm casting a game between Ikuna and bioroid86. Unfortunately, these two played the earlier game with Bioroid being the corporation HB and Ikuna playing Wizard. Unfortunately, I did not record it, but also fortunately, it was not a very good game. Or unfortunately for Bioroid, he drew an opening hand. He drew a very bad opening hand, and then mulliganed into a hand with no ice. And Ikuna was able to score two prior requisitions off of Bioroid's deck early and get 6 points very early. Bioroid clawed back and managed to score 4 points, but Ikuna managed to steal the last agenda from Bioroid's hand. It was a very short game and not very interesting to watch. I don't think there was very much to learn from it. Besides, don't get unlucky with your opening hand draws. So, but this game is looking to be more interesting. It's a Chaos Theory versus Jinteki Personal Evolution matchup. And Jinteki. Oh, this is an interesting hand. Neural Katana, Chum, Melange Mining Corporation, Corporate Troubleshooter, and Neural EMP. This is actually pretty decent. Neural Katana is one of the best ice early game for Jinteki. It's sort of expensive. I know 4 credits doesn't look like very expensive, but that's very expensive for Jinteki because they don't have any in-faction economy cards. Oh, he drew an agenda. So I'm guessing he's going to put the Neural Katana on HQ. No, he's putting it on R&D. That is an interesting move. And he's going to install. It looks like he's going to do some installations. He's going to installing a melange and taking a credit. Chaos Theory has a Deus Ex. This is a very good card in the Jinteki matchup. You can trash it to prevent any number of net damage, or you can also break an AP program. And he started up by drawing. Bioroid started up by drawing. I'm not sure what he's drawing for. He is going to mod it out of Toolbox, I believe, which I'm not. Oh, he modded out of Deus Ex. That's a much better play than modding out of Toolbox. There's a false lead. This is a neat agenda for Jinteki because they can install it and then score it in the next turn even if they don't advance it. He just used Melange, which is a very good play. Bioroid really needs to trash that Melange, and he's doing that right now. You don't want Jinteki to get money. Their biggest weakness is that they don't have very much money. So you really need to trash those melanges whenever you can find them. You really want to deny them credits because if they have money, then they can res ice like Neural Katana and pay for traps like Snare, and then you really can end up taking a lot of damage, and use cards like Ronin, which can be trashed with, I believe, if he has 4 advancement tokens on it, you can trash it to deal 3 net damage. You can pay click to trash to deal 3 net damage. He installed a Ronin in a false lead and then gained the credit and passed the turn. Ikuna is playing very aggressively. It looks like he figured out that Bioroid will not run on his unadvanced cards, so he's going to play this false lead out and hope to score it. Wow, Bioroid has 2 Deus Ex in his deck, at least 2. This is an interesting move to have 2 Deus Ex. That means he's really, really scared of Jinteki. Which, to be fair, I think Jinteki is Chaos Theory's worst matchup because Chaos Theory only has 40 cards in the deck, and Jinteki can deal a lot of net damage. You normally will restore net damage by drawing cards from your deck either before when you're expecting to take net damage or after you take the net damage. And you can very easily run out of cards in your deck versus Jinteki, especially if you only have 40 cards in your deck when you're playing Chaos Theory. He discarded a Special Order and a Snowball. Also, we have not seen him run any cards other than... Okay, he's gonna score this false lead and inflict the net damage, which I believe is a good move. No 1 net. He's going to he's preventing the damage with Deus Ex. I'm not sure I like this play. I would really be tempted to save the. Oh, oops. Okay, good. I would really be tempted to save the Deus Ex for a card like a snare or a, and he's just. You have two Deus Ex. He can't really do anything. I would just run that card. If it's a snare, then he pays 4 credits, and you can prevent the damage with Deus Ex. I wouldn't waste an infiltration. Infiltration is a very important card to have in the Jinteki matchup because they have a lot of traps, and you don't want to be running blind against them. Here's another very cute thing about Jinteki is that they can just have 3 agendas in hand or 2 agendas in hand and leave their hand open, and you know and bioroid is not running his hand. He could possibly steal 4 agenda points from him, but he just doesn't want to risk hitting a snare or something. I actually think bioroid is playing a little too cautiously. You have to play cautiously against Jinteki. But when you have 2 Deus Ex in play, then you can be a little bit more aggressive against Jinteki. You can aggressively attack their hand. If they have a snare, they pay 4 credits, and you can just sacrifice your Deus Ex so you won't even take the net damage. Or if you run into a Junebug or a Neural Katana you can just break by sacrificing Deus Ex. I'm not a huge fan of this, very cautiously not doing anything play against Jinteki. You have to be careful against Jinteki, but if you already have 2 Deus Ex, then it's going to be very, very hard for Jinteki to actually kill you. Oh yeah, I always forget about the Chaos Theory having an extra MU because I'm like, that's 5 MU in play. Why is he able to do that? And then yeah, it turns out that he's Chaos Theory. And there's a Corporate Troubleshooter. This is, oh my goodness, this is scary. Yes. This is scary. A Corporate Troubleshooter means they can res this Neural Katana, this Chum, and then this Neural Katana, and then Corporate Troubleshooter it above the 10 strength for Deus Ex, so that he forces Ikuna to take net damage. I mean, this doesn't really apply unless he's already killed a Deus Ex or 2, because I believe the Deus Ex can be sacrificed to prevent that net damage, but it's still sort of a scary play for bioroid to do, or for Ikuna to do. And there's Nisai. That was, I believe, the first run other than the melange earlier of the game. Yeah, I'm thinking that bioroid is playing too passively. He's being very, very safe with his plays. It looks like he's very, very scared of the Jinteki net damage, which I've played Jinteki. I've played against Jinteki a lot, or not a lot. It's usually the least popular faction, but I've played against it a fair amount, and it's very, very scary when you're playing against Jinteki, because you know that if you make a wrong move, then they can flatline you. Ooh, a Scorched Earth. This is a card I like a lot in Jinteki. You have a card like a Shadow. And normally, runners are not very scared of tags against Jinteki because Jinteki doesn't have any in-faction tag punishment cards. But the Scorched Earth really, really turns that around. If you can get them with the Shadow tag, or they run and hit a snare and don't drop the tag, then the Scorched Earth can deal 4 damage, which is often enough to kill the runner. But yeah, as I was saying, Jinteki is very, very scary, but as long as you have cards in your hand, they can't kill you. If you're always careful about drawing up to 5 or 6 before you making a run, you can just run every turn or every other turn, and they can't really kill you. Without some shenanigans like Chum, Neural Katana, Corporate Troubleshooter, or something like that. So you just have to play. You have to play very safe, but you don't. But you don't have to play too safe. Like I think Bioroid is playing too safe. He's very scared of what Ikuna can do to him. This is a very risky play to go in on this. No, actually, it's not a risky play. I take that back because he has 2 Deus Ex. I was going to say it's a very, very risky play because he could, with the R&D interface, he could hit 2 snares or something, or a snare or a fetal AI, and then the Ronin would be lethal. But he has Deus Ex out, so he can prevent the damage from the snares or the Ronin. If that were to happen. Looks like Ikuna's actually in a tough spot. May not seem that way, but he's actually in a very tough spot right now. Because he has a lot of agendas, but Bioroid's Crypsis doesn't really care about. He has Bioroid's Crypsis Magnum Opus out, which is a tough combination. You really need lots of ice that they have to break in order to fight against Crypsis. Crypsis is really, really good against 1 or 2 ice servers. And all of Ikuna servers are essentially 1 ice. Because these 2 chums don't really count. They just make the Neural Katana scarier. Ikuna is rezzing Ronin and using it to inflict 3 net damage, which is something... I think he's trying to force Bioroid to play a Deus Ex. Yeah, to trash Deus Ex to prevent the net damage. I think that was a mistake on Bioroid's part to trash the Deus Ex there. Because 3 net damage is not going to kill him. And yeah, that's just basically giving away a free Deus Ex. And then he installed a Brain Trust. Brain Trust is a card that it's a 3/2 agenda. Its text really doesn't matter. You're not ever going to trigger its text, so it's blank, but it doesn't actually matter. The thing is that it's the only 3/2 agenda Jinteki has. So a lot of times they play a card face down. I'm like, I'm not going to run that because it might be a snare, or it's most likely like a snare, or maybe a pad campaign or something. Then Kuna's or Bioroid exposed the Brain Trust. Against Jinteki, I do not like using infiltrations against unadvanced cards. Sometimes it's correct. And I think it paid off for Bioroid here, but in general, I don't like doing it because their advanced cards are more dangerous. They often have a Junebug or something like that, or a Ronin, and you need to know whether they have a Junebug or a Ronin. And if you pick wrong, then you're dead. You need to know if they have a Junebug, Ronin, or an agenda. And if you decide they have the wrong one, oh, here's the corporate troubleshooter. No, wait, Bioroid. The problem with this corporate troubleshooter play is that he cannot. He made it so that bioroid can't break it. No. Let me check Deus Ex. I'm gonna go on Card Game DB and check the actual text on Deus Ex. But I don't think that this is game. I think Bioroid can trash his Deus Ex to I think he can trash his Deus Ex to prevent the net damage. No, you can't. You can't break with Deus Ex. It only has 10 strength. So I'm actually going to check. I believe Deus Ex can be used to prevent any number of net damage. Yes. No, 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 no. No. Can trash Deus Ex to prevent net damage. Yes, you can trash the Deus Ex to prevent the net damage. Yes. Oh, this is actually game. Oh, Ikuna played this very, very well. Um, since the Chum and the Neurokatan actually do net damage separately, Deus Ex can only prevent net damage from one of these two ice. That means that if Bioroid scores this agenda, he loses the game because from Personal Evolution's ability. So he cannot access the agenda now. Also, Ikuna has a Neural EMP in hand, and oh, you. Why? Why Bioroid? Okay, no, that was a mistake. You shouldn't have accessed that. GG. Fun game. That was very well played on Ikuna's part. Ikuna played that game very, very well, I think. The Deus Ex, or not the Deus Ex, the, Ronin, I thought was an odd play, but he forced, Bioroid to trash an agenda. Yes. He forced, Bioroid to, play an agenda. Also, Bioroid should not have accessed that agenda because that was a guaranteed game loss. But it didn't matter because Ikuna had a Neural EMP in hand that he could play. This is if he makes a run. It doesn't have to, the run does not have to be successful. So he could deal 1 net damage and flatline Bioroid. This is just showing the power of the Chum Neural Katana server. This is probably the most dangerous server. I'm going to email it to. But anyway, this is the most dangerous server that Jinteki can throw at you. So, thanks for watching this game. I will see you again later on in the beginner